real with you for a moment. Do you ever find yourself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, and wondering if the money you have saved is actually enough? You are not alone in that feeling. We live in a world that constantly screams at us to earn more, buy more, and be more. Every time you open your phone, you see someone half your age talking about their first $1 million or showing off a luxury car they bought with a new trading strategy. It makes the quiet, hard-working life you have built feel like it is somehow behind schedule. But here is the truth that the loud world of social media does not want you to hear. Financial freedom does not come from a lottery ticket moment or a lucky break in the stock market. It is not about having a mountain of gold that you can never hope to climb. Real freedom is much quieter than that. It is the feeling of waking up and knowing that your decisions are based on what you want to do, not on what you can afford to do. It is the weight being lifted off your shoulders because money is no longer a constant source of panic. In our time together today, I want to share the honest advice that I wish someone had shared with me decades ago. This is not a sugar-coated version of reality or a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a path built on stability, systems, and the kind of wisdom that actually lasts. Let us start by looking at what we are really chasing. When most people say they want financial freedom, what they are actually looking for is control. They want control over their time, their health, and their peace of mind. Think about two different people for a second. Picture someone making $200,000 a year in a high-stress job in a crowded city. They pay $5,000 a month in rent, they spend 2 hours a day in traffic, and they are constantly worried about their next performance review. Now picture someone else making $65,000 a year. They live in a quiet town where their home is nearly paid off. They cook their own meals, and they spend their weekends hiking with people they love. Who is truly more free? Money is simply a tool. It is not the destination itself. Too often, we get caught up in thinking that more money equals more freedom, when in reality, it is how you use what you have that matters. I have seen people living on half of what their peers make who are 10 times more relaxed and fulfilled. They are not caught in a lifestyle that demands constant financial juggling to stay afloat. If you want real freedom, you have to stop chasing just the dollars and start building a life where your decisions are not driven by financial panic. The first hard truth you need to embrace is that your priority should not be investing. It should be stability. Investing is wonderful, and we all know that compound interest is a powerful force. But before you try to multiply your money, you must have a solid and perhaps even boring foundation. Most people try to skip this part because it is not exciting. They jump straight into stocks or the latest digital currency, hoping to grow money that they do not even have a firm grip on yet. Imagine trying to build a beautiful house on a foundation of sand. The moment a strong wind blows, the whole structure collapses. Stability is your base. It is the ability to handle life when it throws a curveball at you, and, as we all know, life throws a lot of them. Let me give you a real example of why this matters. I knew a person who was doing everything right by the book. She was contributing to her retirement accounts and building up a small portfolio. Then, her car transmission failed, and the repair cost $2,300. Because she did not have cash set aside for emergencies, she had to use a credit card with a 26% interest rate. By the time she paid off that bill, the original cost had grown to over $3,000. That is how a minor inconvenience turns into a debt spiral that can set you back for years. If she had prioritized stability first, that car repair would have been nothing more than a bad afternoon. Before you put your money into risky assets, you need to put it into protection. That means having 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a simple savings account. It means having basic insurance and a buffer in your checking account so you never have to worry about a bounced check. When you have stability, You do not invest from a place of fear. You invest from a position of power. That is where real freedom begins. Now, let us talk about the second pillar, which is building a system instead of just setting goals. We have all said things like, I want to save more, or I want to be a millionaire. But a goal without a system is just a wish that creates stress. A system is something simple, repeatable, and trackable that happens automatically. Think about the most successful people you know. They are usually not the ones who are constantly obsessing over every single cent. Instead, they have a plan that they run over and over again without thinking. A simple system you could start tomorrow is the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income goes to your needs, 30% to your wants, and 20% goes straight to your future self through savings and debt repayment. You set up an automatic transfer so you never even see that money in your main account. Every week or every month, you spend 15 minutes reviewing the numbers. It is not complicated, and it does not require 17 different spreadsheets. The best part about a system is that it reduces your stress by making your decisions automatic. This leads us to a secret that most people overlook, which is that boring is usually what actually works. We all want things to move fast because we love the idea of rapid success. But when it comes to long-term wealth, the people who actually reach their goals are often the most patient and consistent. Consider the careers of the typical millionaires you see in the real world. They are often engineers, accountants, or even school teachers. These are people who had stable jobs, avoided showing off, and simply let their money grow in boring index funds for 30 years. They did not try to time the market or find the next big thing. They just stayed the course. One couple I knew made a combined income of $90,000 a year. They never bought brand new cars, and they stayed in the same modest home for decades. But because they maxed out their retirement accounts and ignored the pressure to keep up with the neighbors, they reached 8-tier 60s with a portfolio of nearly $1 million. That might not be flashy enough for a magazine cover, but they are sleeping soundly while others are struggling to pay their mortgages. You must also be prepared for the fact that your friends and family might not understand your journey. When you start prioritizing your future over temporary validation, people will notice. You might hear comments like, "You only live once," or "Why are you always budgeting?" In your middle years especially, the pressure to upgrade your lifestyle is intense. Everyone around you seems to be getting a bigger house or a newer phone. When you choose not to follow them, it can feel like you are falling behind. But you have to remember that you are not behind. You are just ahead in a different way. A friend of mine spent 2 years saying no to expensive dinners and trips so he could pay off $40,000 in student loans. People laughed at him and told him he was no fun. Today, he is debt-free and owns his home outright, while those same friends are still juggling multiple credit cards just to get by. Your future self will thank you for every awkward "no thank you" that you say today. The most important part of this journey is understanding the power of the tipping point. Wealth does not grow in a straight line, it grows on a curve that starts slow and then bends sharply upward. For a long time, it will feel like you are pushing a heavy boulder up a very steep hill. You work hard, you save, and yet the balance in your account barely seems to move. It is easy to get discouraged during this phase and want to give up. But if you keep pushing, you eventually reach the top of the hill. Suddenly, the boulder starts to roll down the other side on its own. This is the moment when your money starts earning more in a year than you are actually contributing. If you have $1 million and it earns a simple 7% return, that is $70,000 in growth without you lifting a finger. That is more than many people earn from a full-time job. Once you hit that tipping point, your progress accelerates in a way that feels almost like magic. The second $1 million always comes much faster than the first million, because the money is doing the heavy lifting for you. Your only job is to stay in the game long enough for that math to work in your favor. Finally, remember that freedom is a feeling you can start practicing today. You do not have to wait until you have a massive portfolio to feel in control of your life. Freedom starts with the small daily choices that prove you are the one in charge. It is choosing to cook a healthy meal at home instead of spending money on expensive takeout. It is the pride you feel when you look at your emergency fund and know that you are protected. It is unsubscribing from the constant comparison that makes you feel like you are not enough. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is realizing that you are not just chasing money, you are chasing peace. Look for the moments where you already feel free and build on them. Whether it is setting a boundary at work or deciding to drive your current car for another 5 years, these are the bricks that build your fortress of security. If you are on this journey right now, please know that you are not behind. You are learning, you are building, and you are taking control. Financial freedom is built in quiet, clear, and consistent decisions made over many years. It is about choosing values over validation and simplicity over chaos. The good news is that you have already started simply by seeking out this knowledge. Stay focused on your own lane and trust the process. You deserve a life where you are the one making the choices. And that life is closer than you think.